Howdy, Banger Pals. Blayne Smith welcoming you to another Overkill Reviews. And this week, I'm bringing you another slab of the underground. Today, I am talking about Harsh Realm. Their album is called Death Carries On. It comes out today, October 18th, and it's an independent release. Yay! Woo! Harsh Realm would form in 2016 in Asheville, North Carolina, but it wouldn't be until 2019 that they released their first EP, and today until they released their first full length. So I'm gonna call them a new band. I don't think they're an 8-year-old band. This is just a cool independent release I found during my research stream. So who the hell knows anything else about these guys? They're death metal. That's all I got for you. Let's just talk about what they sound like. Yes, they're a death metal band, but telling someone that something is death metal in 2024 basically gives them no information. So what kind of death metal is this? Well, me taking a specific interest in it probably reveals to you it's a slow, grimy, incantation-esque variety. If you're a speed demon, you're going to be a little disappointed. But if you like some boys creating heavy atmosphere that's boggier than the sandy bottom wetlands, you'll be vibing. Yes, I did Google some kind of swamp-like location near Asheville, North Carolina. You got me. I've got no idea where any of this is, but thank you, forestkeep.org. Oddly, while this tends to be a more underground style of death metal, it's one that really needs to be recorded and mixed properly because it's so dependent on having great tone to it. Thankfully, the record sounds well beyond what I imagine its budget was, since this is an independent release from Asheville. It's all the more shocking when you find out it was recorded and mixed by the drummer, Alex Ferrer. The band's got 2 members. The other member is Nathan Landolt, who handles guitar, bass, vocals, and noise, but it's the drummer in the booth doing those sliders.
Well, I'll be dipped in shit and rolling breadcrumbs.
I'm always wowed by bands just doing great stuff with simplicity. If you can bring me to a song with just great tone and a head bobby riff like this, mixed with these great rolling drums, you're most of the way to me being on board with your record. It's not just production that has the feel of a band that's taken a few more laps around the track. The death metal on display here sounds very mature, especially when considering these guys don't really have a history in the genre outside of this project. While it's definitely on the simpler side due to being a more low and slow type of band, that also means whatever they're doing has to sound pretty solid, otherwise they're going to lose their listener pretty quick. There's no point where I start to wander, especially thanks to the never taken for granted ability to edit yourself and not have tracks go on any longer than they need to. Vocals are just as on point in both delivery and where they're placed in the mix. You know, I like a nice layer of pudding film between me and those growls. Outside of just sound, you've got an awesome album cover by Saris that's super unique, adding a real identity to things, plus a stellar logo by Form Terror Growth. They've even got a bunch of great t-shirt designs already. I know some people think this stuff isn't related, and I should be judging records on sound alone, but covers, logos, and shirts. This is how we're able to engage with bands. And when it seems like the band has put thought and effort into this stuff, it's a good thing. There's a very real psychological impact to this stuff, and there's nothing worse than getting all jazzed on a new band and finding out they've got a gas station ass looking t-shirt and mobile game looking album cover. On top of that, there's also a little something extra they've added to the mix. Little seasoning, little sprinkle, little mix of flavor. Because this is 2024, baby. You gotta have a hook these days. Death bordering on death doom. That's a dime a dozen. How you putting butts in my seats? Just picture me with a big cigar and a J. Jonah Jameson hairdo while I'm saying this. So, do they have one? You know it. What is it? Interludes? Hold up. Rewind. Let's double check the bumper card. Yes, it seems to be a positive section, and it's all about interludes. The album features 4 of them, and they make up 9.5 minutes of the 34-minute album runtime. Let's rewind again and see that bumper card. Yes, positive section. So these interludes are a stark contrast to the death metal, as they're ethereal floaty drone by album guest Madeline Johnson. She's listed as midwife. I guess she's the buffer delivering the grimy death metal, so she's helping birth some monstrosity into this world. There's no real transition between the death metal and the interlude. It's just hard contrast, giving a real heaven or hell vibe.
Heaven or hell. 2, 1. Let's rock.
I mean, it works surprisingly well, though, and it certainly offers that hook you gotta have in these. I'll stop doing that. Thankfully, they're well made and performed enough that they sort of stand on their own. They're very drone doom, and if they were on their own, they'd build to something and could probably just be a record on their own. But I do actually like the lack of build, offering that kind of hard line. Here's what you'll hear between your death. What you'll hear between me talking about metal. Nothing. I'll just talk about metal because we have a great Patreon community. You give us a couple bucks, it allows us to keep this whole thing ad-free. So if you're not signed up, get on over there. And if you can't sign up, all you got to do is subscribe, like, comment. It goes a long way, and it's much appreciated. Back to the review. This really stark contrast is one of the record's biggest strengths. But what I think is one of the record's biggest letdowns is that they never try and blend them. They never really come together. I do like them beginning and mostly existing as a contrast, but what I think would launch them over the top if, as the record progressed and we got to the last couple songs, they started to overlap more and we had an album closer that fully blended the two. It would add a sense of progression and ended up creating something really special. If I was the band manager, I'd be like, midwife, permanent member now, smash some of these songs together. So Harsh Realm, if you're hiring, I'm available. I live nowhere near you and I am unwilling to travel. The other thing we're missing is a bit of solo action. I'm not asking for a tech death wank session or nothing, but the occasional squeal and rip led into by a nice dive bomb would help add a third sound to the record and, again, offer a nice contrast, giving a sharp sound that cuts through the grime and is, pretty far away from these dreamy passages. Just 2 on the record would stand out and really complete the picture, I think. This is a really exciting debut full length. It does have room to grow, but it has a nice bass and an interesting hook that, if they develop, could make them a pretty special death metal act. I love experimentation, and this is a nice little shakeup while still being a familiar death metal sound we love around these parts. So please toss the gang some support, especially considering they're in Asheville, which is in North Carolina, which, you know, got really hurricaned recently. So grab something from their Bandcamp. I know I will. And while I'm there, I'm going to toss them 3.5 Scully Boys from the album cover, because that's a great album cover, and that skeleton's pretty cool looking. And hey, we got a little interlude on the end, an outro lude. It's shout-outs. As always, I got 3 records that pair nicely with this one. We've got Ashen Tomb, Ecstatic Death Rain, October 18th on Everlasting Spew. You've got Deathrite with a amazing cover, Flames Licking Fever, October 18th, Into Endless Chaos Records. And Mother of Graves releasing the the something of absence, October 18th, Profound Lore Records. 3 great picks to go with a great record. What do you think? Is this an exciting debut for you? Can you dig some weird floaty clouds in the middle of your death metal? Let us know in the comments below. Like I said, grab some copies of the record, support music, support bands, and thanks for supporting us. See you on the next one, gang.